Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, you're welcome. To my new subscribers, thank you for subscribing. Welcome to the family. In today's tutorial, I'll be showing you how to draft this A-line dress. It's a tube bustier dress, a sleeveless tube bustier dress. If this is a video you're interested in, please keep on watching. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Right now, we'll proceed to drafting. I will go ahead and extend my tape measure by 7 inches. You can do 6 inches, you can do 5, you can do 8, depending on how exposed you want your chest line to be. So I'll proceed to marking my extension of 7 inches. From the 7 inches, I'll mark my bust line of 9 inches. So from the extension, I'll mark my bust point of 10.5, and I'll also mark my under bust of 14.5, my waistline of 16 inches, and the total half length of 17 inches because you'll be joining the bodies to the skirt part. So that's why I have 17 inches for my half length. The next step after that is to take our bust strand measurement. My bust strand is 42 divided by 4, that will give me 10.5. I'll mark that measurement on the extension, the bust line and the bust point, and I'll connect with a straight line. And I'll come to my waistline and mark my waist measurement. My waist is 38 divided by 4, that will give me 9.5. I'll mark that measurement on my under bust and on my waistline, so I'll connect with a straight line just as shown. The next step after that is to mark our nipple to nipple measurement. My nipple to nipple is 8 inches divided by 2 plus 0.5 of sewing allowance. That will give me 4.5. I'll mark that measurement on the bust line down to meet the length. I'll mark from the extension to meet the length, and I'll connect with a straight line just as shown in the video. So right now, I'll go in with my dart of 1 inch on both sides. You can do 0.5 inches if you're a smaller size person, but I've been using 1 inch on both sides for my dart. That's making 2 inches of dart intake. I'll proceed to curve my dart this way. I'll curve my dart from the under bust to meet my bust point, and I'll also curve my dart from the extension to meet my bust point. Please watch how I cut out my dart. You don't want to make a mistake with curving out your dart. I'm doing this step because if you do your dart this way, the outfit will come out looking perfect. After we're done covering out our dart, the next step is for us to add our sewing allowance and our dart that we've taken on the bodies. So right now, I'll go to my extension line and I will take my dart of 2 inches and sewing allowance of 2 inches. I'll come to my waistline, take my dart of 2 inches and sewing allowance of 2 inches. Please, you don't want to forget marking your measurement. I do this on my pattern paper so I don't have to worry about me not taking my allowances on my fabric if you're going to make this outfit. So right now, with that, we are done with the front pattern. I'll proceed to cutting out, and after cutting out, we'll draft the back pattern before we go ahead and pin down the whole pattern paper to see what we have at the end of the day. Watch how I cut up my pattern. Don't make a mistake cutting out yours. If you're a beginner, take your time in cutting out your pattern before you cut on fabric. If you have watched this video to this point, please give this video a like so that YouTube can push up my content and so that other people can be able to learn 1 or 2 things from me as well. We'll go ahead and draft the back pattern. I'll mark 1 inch for zipper allowance. After marking the 1 inch, I'll also repeat the same measurement for the back. I'll be marking my extension of 7 inches, my bust line of 9 inches, bust point of 10.5, and my waistline of 16 inches, and total length of 17 inches. I'll proceed to marking that measurement. I'll just connect with a straight line. Now, when making this outfit, you have to use a very structured material. Materials like brocade would do well for this pattern or for this outfit. If you use a brocade, the outfit will come out standing and looking exactly like what's on the thumbnail. You want to make sure that you have or you make use of a material that has structure, a good structure. So right now, I'll proceed to marking my measurements. I'll repeat my bust strand measurement on the bust line and on the bust point and also on the extension, and I'll just repeat my measurement and I'll just mark it and connect with a straight line. You want to go ahead and do it like this. I'll be using a basic dart for the back pattern. I'll be using a normal basic dart for the back pattern. There's no armhole in this pattern. Please don't make a mistake. For this pattern, there's no armhole drafting. It's just a simple tube top, a simple tube bustier. So that's what we're doing in this pattern drafting. So right now that we've connected our waistline to meet our extension, I'll go in to remove zipper bulge and to snatch my waistline. I'll go in by 0.5 inches on the waistline. I'll do that to remove zipper bulge and to snatch my waistline. So after that, the next step is for us to, add our nipple to nipple measurement 4.5. I'll be marking it from the bust point to the length, to my half length rather. I'll be marking it from my bust point to my half length. I'll connect to the waistline and I'll be going outwards on both sides by 1 inch. You can do 0.5 inches if you're a smaller size person, but I'll be using 1 inch on both sides for my dart. I'll be using a basic dart like I said before for the back pattern. And after that, we'll be adding our allowances of 2 inches on the waistline. I'll be adding 2.5 inches on the waistline and I'll be adding 2 inches of sewing allowance on the bust line or extension. And I'll just connect it to the straight line just as shown. And with that, we are done with the back pattern. So the next step is for us to cut out the skirt parts, because first we'll cut out the pattern, then proceed to drafting the skirt parts for this pattern. Watch how I cut out my pattern. You don't want to make a mistake cutting out yours. Please take your time in cutting out your pattern. If you are a beginner, please take your time, cut on paper before you place on fabric. So right now I'm just folding in the dart so I can see how your dart should look like. Now for the sleeves, it's sleeveless, but for the little sleeve on it, you're going to go ahead and mark 3 inches away from your nipple to nipple measurement. I'm going to mark 3 inches away from that line, and that will be where I will be imputing my sleeves. You want to go ahead and notch that part so that you don't make a mistake while you are joining your fabrics together, so that you'll be able to know where you impute your sleeves. So right now for the skirt part, I'll extend my tape measure to 16 inches. I'll be marking from that 16 inches, that's for my waistline, because you need 1 inch to join your skirt part to your bodies. So I'll be marking 16 inches rather. From that 16, I'll mark my hip measurement of 23 inches, and I'll mark the length for the skirt 35 inches. The length for the dress is 35 inches for the A-line. Is 35 inches. You can do beyond 35 inches, whatever you do works fine. I'll just extend with a straight line and I'll be imputing my measurements afterwards. I'm going ahead to label my waistline, my hip line, and my length. So for my waistline, I'll repeat my waist measurement, but before that, I'll mark my nipple to nipple measurement, 4.5 inches. I'll mark it all the way down to my length. And I'll be going inwards on a dart of 1 inch on both sides. If you look at the thumbnail, the picture on the thumbnail, there's a dart at the skirt. So I'll be going outward by 1 inch on both sides. You can do 0.5 inches, but I'll be using 1 inch on both sides for my dart intake. The next step after that is to impute my measurement. I'll come to my waistline and I'll repeat my measurement of 9.5 inches, 2 inches of sewing allowance and 2 inches of dart taking. I'll come to my hip line and I'll mark my hip measurement. 4 divided by 4, that will give me 11 inches, plus 2 inches of dart taking and 2 inches of sewing allowance. I'll repeat the same measurement for my length and I'll be adding extra 1 inch on both the hip line and my length. That's because I want the A-line to be exaggerated. If you look at the thumbnail, the A-line part is very exaggerated. So I'll proceed now to joining and to connecting my lines just as shown. And you can see we have formed our A-line perfectly. So I'll proceed now to go upwards by 0.5 inches and I'll just curve it that way. I'll curve my hem that way, and the next part is for us to cut out our pattern. After cutting out, I'll proceed to aligning the pieces together so we can see what we have at the end of the day. And I'll also proceed to pinning it down so we can see what we have at the end of the day as well. So I'll proceed to doing that off camera. I've gone ahead to do that. This is what we have. It's looking like what's on the thumbnail. I love the outcome of what we have done so far. You can see the bustier line is aligning with our skirt part. The seams are, aligning together, and this is what you want to have at the end of the day. So right now, at the upper part of the front bodice, I'll go outwards from my bustier, that's from my seam. I'll go outwards by 3 inches on both sides. We took 3 inches for the back pattern. So I'll go ahead and take 3 inches away from the seam of the bustier. So after going up by 3 inches, that's where you want to impute your sleeves. So right now, for the skirt part, for the back part of the skirt, I'll take my zipper allowance of 1 inch as well. And I'll just repeat my measurement for the waist, the hip, and the length. And after imputing the measurement, I'll come to my waistline and I'll go inwards by 0.5 inches. That's to remove zipper bulge as well, because I want the back to be smooth. So right now I'll just proceed to curving from my hip to my waistline and from my hip to my length. And that's all for the back pattern. So I'll go ahead now and take in the 0.5 inches on the waistline. You want to go ahead and do that so that you'll have a very nice shape at the back of your pattern, your skirt pattern. So I'm just adding the sewing allowance of 2.5 at the waistline, 2 inches on the hip, 2 inches on the length. And I'll proceed to covering out the hip line and also the hemline. And with that, we are done with the back pattern. After cutting out, I'll align it together so we can see what we have for the back pattern at the end of the day. The back pattern is going to come out really looking nice. If you cut it this way, your back pattern will come out really looking nice. But in order for you not to make mistake, please ensure you notch your zipper allowance part and you notch your hip allowance as well. So I'll be notching my zipper part at the midpoint and I'll be notching my hip line at the top part so I won't be confused at the end of the day. So that's what I'm doing right now. And with that, I'll just proceed to aligning it together. This is what you want to have at the end of the day. And we are done with the back pattern. Now for the sleeves, I'll proceed to drafting the sleeves. You can do whatever sleeves you like for this dress, but I'll be going with the pattern on the thumbnail. So I'll just mark 10 inches for the length of the sleeves because you'll be forming a gathers at the top, the two sides of the sleeves. If you look at the thumbnail, there's a gathers formed at the sleeves part. So I'll go in by 2.5 inches at the lower part and I'll go in with my shoulder measurement of 8 inches for the top part. So I'll just proceed to take my curve ruler and I'll just curve it this way. So after covering, when you are sewing, you want to gather the two sides of the sleeves before you attach to your 3 inches mark that you left before the seam of the bustier. This is what you want to have at the end of the day. So I'll just be illustrating how you're going to fold it in. After you fold in your sleeves, you are going to go ahead and form the gathers. Form the gathers before you attach to your bustier. So, and with that, we've come to the end of the tutorial. I hope you're able to learn 1 or 2 things from me. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for watching my video. Until I come your way again. Bye.